So the Japanese market just massively crashed. It hasn't crashed as much in 37 years, okay? 37 years. This is an actual giant crash. It's down 12% now at the end of the day. And that's the biggest fall then the whole market ever done. So this is Nikkei, the index of the whole Japanese broader market. So that's basically the Japanese economy is down like 12.5% today, right? Which is gigantic, okay? It's gonna have a huge effect, of course, on the Japanese product, right? So I usually don't do videos on Mondays, guys, but I think we have to talk about this here, right? So this video, guys, I'm gonna address two major things. First of all, I will explain to you why this is happening, talk about the trading thing, talk about the interest rate, why it's happening. I won't give you the stock picks, but I will give you generally why is it happening. Okay. Then the next thing will be why is it affecting stuff like video games, anime, and generally the entertainment industry of Japan, right? And it really does. And if you know the first point, you cannot understand how the second point can automatically will have a massive snowball effect that will come later, right? But I hope you guys subscribe, press that like button, and maybe even, donate or join the membership or something, because I just lost a lot of money on this myself, right? I have, of course, an index fund that is tracking Nikkei, so I lost a lot of money today, and of course, generally, the rest of the market is massively down. So I will show you that before that. As you can see, almost everything is just red, right? Basically everything is red. This is one of my many watch lists. I use a lot of different sites and programs, right, to track different stocks. And you can see here that, it's like, one stock is green, 4%. This is some penny stock. This is red. General American market. We can see that the Dow is at 800 now. NASDAQ is on 4. So actually, I'll say it briefly. It's actually looked much worse. But I was at work still, yeah. Then I was massive. There are like -6% in pre-market trading. This here is a small cap. This is the tech company. This is the big companies, and this is the industrial companies. But yeah, so it actually is much better now than it was, right? But if you go to Asia, then, as you can see, right, the Nikkei is down 12 points. This is massive. Again, this is the worst day in 37 years. It's crazy bad. And also the Korean stock is down 9%, right? The whole country. This here is the rest of it is Chinese here. So this is the Hong Kong and this is Shanghai stock here. So this is 1.4%. This actually is pretty good, honestly. As a side note here, if you don't know how stock works, this actually I would say is really good actually. So the Hong Kong stock, the Hang Seng, this is the Hong Kong stock market, is only down 1.4% in globally. Given how much the Korean and the Japanese market are crashing, this actually is like quite like, we're pretty fine over here. Yeah, because usually they get dragged down heavier, right? And then lastly, look at crypto. It's also down, massively bit. So every market is massively down today. Also, of course, Europe, everything goes massively down. Everything is bad. Everything is terrible. Now, why is this happening? Why is Nikkei crashing? Again, the worst day in 37 years. Well, it has to do with two things. First of all, basically, interest loans were free in Japan. So you paid very low cost for your loan. If you took $1 million loan there, or 100 million yen or whatever, so to speak, you would basically pay nothing back. It's like take $1 million loan and you have to give the bank $1 back, basically, like $1,000. So it's very beneficial taking loans in Japan. And what happened now today is that they increased the actual interest rate for your loans, right? Now, what it means is a lot of people, right, have been taking out loans to buy stocks on the Nikkei, because you basically would gain a lot more money by putting your money on the index fund, ergo Nikkei, which is the broad index market in Japan, would give you a better money return than what the loan would cost you. So it was like free money, so to speak. Because it's a risk if it crashed or whatever, right? So when they increased the interest rate, people went crazy. Like, oh my god, I take money out, so it costs me money, I have to. And then, of course, the broader market is collapsing, right? Because there was so much loaned money, basically, and they didn't want to have the loans anymore, right? Now, when the interest was much higher. So, interest rate in Japan, still very low, but basically it was zero before, right? It was almost zero before. Massive difference. Now, what is then the carry trade? So the carry trade is very much affected by this free loan thing, right? So again, you have free loans in Japan, or had them today, right? So American people, European people, so on, they would then borrow money from Japanese banks, right, and would trade it over to dollar or so on. So you would take like yen, make it into dollars, basically for free, and then you would buy stocks on the American market. So you would buy your Google stocks or much of that, right, with basically free loans from Japan. This, of course, also affects you when the loans are suddenly much more expensive. Now you have to sell those stocks to Google and then give it back to the bank in Japan, right? So, because the Nikkei then is crashing, it means that, oh, I have to sell out all my money immediately. So that makes my market also crash, right? And then everything goes red, everyone's negative, the people are starting selling off as well, right? So it's both this general selling off, the Nikkei is going down so much, but it's also that, well, okay, the loans, this carry trade thing doesn't work anymore. This like free loan from Japan is gone now. I have to sell off my stock, right? So that makes all the other markets also go down, right? So it's a massive thing. Now, of course, there's also some other issues. For example, that the Japanese market in general doesn't like believe so much in the American economy anymore, so on. So they, and they have the war going on. So it's, of course, there are other uncertainties. But this interest rate thing is the real kicker for today's crash. That is how it is. And obviously some other stuff too, generally like birth rate. It's about other factors you can find, of course, explain the general market going down, right? But the general thing is that by like removing the free loan, basically, right? Again, they weren't 100% free, but they were less than 1%. They still are, actually. So they're very, very cheap loans, right? Having interest rates on those loans being so incredibly cheap, like I said, made it not just for the Jap people, but also for Americans, so on. It was worth it for them to create these carry trade loans then, right? It was worth it to convert the yen to dollar and then buy stocks in America, right? Because you could get so much dollars from the yen, basically. And also, of course, the effect of doing this interest rate hike means that the yen now is swinging up in value, right? So it's actually better now being employed in Japan and so on, because you get more money, right? Your paycheck is more valuable now. And the big winner, of course, are people in Japan that had all their money in just actual money in the bank. Yeah, no stocks. That money now is more valuable, right? Yeah, so the actual yen is valuable now. And also then lastly, it's very unlikely, I suppose, that they would remove this interest rate hike again, because it also is there to, combat inflation, to stop deflation, yada yada, right? So it's always a lot of inflation issues as well in Japan, right? So it's a part of it, of course. And generally speaking, I guess the big, main issue what's happening is, of course, like Corona, right? I suppose it's entirely true, but obviously a lot of markets has issues since COVID, right? America as well, of course, which also again is the reason why they don't believe in America anymore, right? Another reason why the American market will have a slower growth zone, of course. So that's also a big general, like Corona is like a wet blanket over all the markets, right? More or less, I suppose. But anyway, how does this affect the gaming market and other anime, whatever, other like fun stuff, entertainment stuff, so clearly then? I mean, first of all, obviously companies like Kadokawa or whatever, right, Toei and so on, but this is Kadokawa here then, it's down 11% today. Shouldn't surprise you, right? I mean, obviously it's a big Japanese company, collaborate, they make a lot of anime and manga and gaming and so on, right? They are down massively, right? They're all gonna be down like a lot of percent, just like we see in the American market, right? And again then, if the whole Japanese market falls almost 13%, of course, the other companies are gonna have issues, right? Yeah, and it's gonna, they're gonna have more issues making new whatever animes and so on, right? New games and so on. That's just obvious thing. I don't have to really. I hope I don't have to explain this part, right? Because now it's kind of obvious that they all lost a lot of money, so they have less money to go on, right? However, the real issue is actually the whole interest, like the free loan. So the Japanese market collapse today will absolutely affect these kind of games like Katamari Damacy or the kind of like crazy experimental games, because they have a much higher chance, right? So generally, now Japan is in a recession. They have obviously way worse economy, so you're gonna have safer games, right? Same thing goes for animes. You're gonna have safer animes. You're gonna have the crazy Kalupa animes. No, you're gonna have safer animes. So obviously, animes like One Piece, whatever, Macadamia, right? these like staple animes they do every year or because every week, right? They will keep going. Toei won't stop that much, but like Kadokawa will have much issues. Kadokawa and so on. They will issue doing the new animes right now. But I think it mostly affects this kind of crazy stuff. Obviously that. However, what makes it even worse is this interest loan thing, right? So okay, so first of all, now it's a recession in Japan. So again, you're gonna make less games, less anime, and so on because they're selling less, right? That being said, we have seen in the past the recession, like video game industry is pretty strong during the recession because it is quite a cheap hobby actually. It's a lot of consumers, so that expensive to buy a new game, right? So maybe it won't be that bad. However, right, the problem is of course generally a recession will make, people make less games, less anime, less manga, less movies or whatever. Okay, it's obvious. But also then, because of the interest rate, right? So in the past, in Japan, you could take out loans with basically having zero interest cost on it, right? That's what, collapsed in Nikkei today, right? And by having those loans, you could take out loans and do crazy games, right? You can have a much bigger chance doing your crazy waka waka games. On a similar point, you can make crazy animes because again, if you can take out loans to basically have, no risk to the loan. I mean, obviously, it's a risk if it fails, but there's no interest risk on the loan. You can make crazy animes too, right? So my general point is that I don't think it will be the death of the industry per se, but I think a lot of the most crazy creativity, especially the smaller studios, right, will honestly struggle probably immensely from this Nikkei crash today. Because yeah, all of these crazier animes are gonna be so much harder to do, right? Because basically you won't be able to get those loans anymore. Or rather, you might get the loans, but you won't, there's just much more chance. The risk is so much higher with the loans. So it really is, not only has the market then collapsed massively, right? Forcing the country into a recession, but it's also because of the interest system they have, also means that now being creative, so to speak, is also a much higher risk, right? I mean, regardless of being in a bad economical recession or not, like it's generally. So it's just a cake on cake, basically. It's cake on cake, right? It's a recession, plus it's much harder getting good loans anymore, which at the same time, the yen is going up, that's only positive bad response. Well, actually, the yen going up, though, means that the salary is harder to pay people too. So, good for the animators, bad for the studio. Yeah. So, but basically, the two main things is that, yes, recession goes up, harder to get money, harder to hire people, all this stuff, right? But at the same time, you also have harder to get loans, harder to get worse interest rates, harder to make, more experimental products, crazy products. So it's gonna, I think this would be a massive hit, right, on Japanese anime production, video game production, so on. And we're gonna see even more of these, repetitive games, repetitive animes. Like we're gonna see season 3 and 4, stuff that works. We're gonna see, so much new stuff. And that being said, I don't think we're gonna have, of course, like canceled animes or stuff that is coming soon here. It wouldn't make any sense to like cancel, say, I don't know, L0 coming out like next month or whatever, 2 months from now. That wouldn't make any sense because it's basically already finished, right, released in production and so on. So I think we will see the effect of this thing next year. Right? We will see the effect next year. I would guess we're gonna have less animes coming out next year. I mean, literally, and we're gonna have way less, like I said, experimental games next year, and especially 2 years from now. This effect should hit, right? Starting next year, and then from that year, we're gonna see more and more like less creative games, less crazy games, and also generally then less new studios, right? In any kind of entertainment industry will be created, right? Because there's too much high risk, recession, hard to get loans, harder interest rates, will affect new studios being staff, and also you should happen as a side note, right, is that people also stay at the companies longer. Now this is Japan, but still though, even more so people stay at the same company, right? So because it's safer, so less people will, leave their studio and make a new game studio, whatever, right? So I think we're gonna see a massive thing. And you speaking again, right? It's the worst day in the Japanese market in 37 years, okay? This is almost back in the oil crisis thing. Not really, but it is really massive though. The only good thing I see today, honestly, is again that the American market actually has turned around and it's red, but it was like enormously red a few hours ago, and now it's like 50% up from the red in units. So you're like, okay, so the American market is very strong in the sense people have buying power, people buy immediately now at discounts. So at least that's gooder. So I would guess probably tomorrow the Japanese market might be somewhat green, or at least not that much red, because they're gonna see the American market kind of turn around and almost turning green for a while. So they're gonna be like, okay, you know what? Maybe we are better. But even if the market goes up again tomorrow, right, and it keeps going up the rest of the year, you're still not going to have them change this interest loan system, right? Because they did that because they want to increase, the value of the currency, right? So in Japan, you have the yen. By doing this interest loan thing, you massively increase the value of the yen. People only had money on the bank account at home, or money in their mattress. They're the big winners, right? Because now the yen is just more valued, right? So they want to strengthen the yen. So they're not going to go back on this like free loan thing. So you won't have that like carry trade anymore. That they won't go back to that in Japan. That makes no sense to do it right now. Maybe in a few years from now, it might happen, but not in like 3-4 years. But anyway, guys, for the video, subscribe, so you guys have a great day.